Perchance, if I were not thus taught, should I the more suffer my genial spirits to decay. For thou art with me here, upon the banks of this fair river. Thou, my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend. And in thy voice I catch the language of my former heart, and read my former pleasures in the shooting lights of thy wild eyes. Oh, yet a little while may I behold in thee what I was once, my dear, dear sister. And in this prayer I make, knowing that nature never did betray the heart that loved her. 'Tis her privilege, through all the years of this our life, to lead from joy to joy. For she can so inform the mind that is within us, so impress with quietness and beauty, and so feed with lofty thoughts, that neither evil tongues, rash judgments, nor the sneers of selfish men, nor greetings where no kindness is, nor all the dreary intercourse of daily life shall e'er prevail against us, or disturb our cheerful faith, that all which we behold is full of blessings. Therefore, let the moon shine on thee in thy solitary walk, and let the misty mountain winds be free to blow against thee. And in after years, when these wild ecstasies shall be matured into a sober pleasure, when thy mind shall be a mansion for all lovely forms, thy memory be as a dwelling place for all sweet sounds and harmonies, oh, then, if solitude or fear or pain or grief should be thy portion, with what healing thoughts of tender joy wilt thou remember me, and these my exhortations. Nor perchance, if I should be where I no more can hear thy voice, nor catch from thy wild eyes these gleams of past existence, wilt thou then forget that on the banks of this delightful stream we stood together, and that I, so long a worshipper of nature, hither came unwearied in that service, rather say with warmer love, oh, with far deeper zeal of holier love. Nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs, and this green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both for themselves and for thy sake. At the beginning of this final stanza, Wordsworth kind of backtracks on what he's been saying so far. He's talked of nature influencing the best portion of a good man's life. He's called it the guardian of my heart and all my moral being. And now here he is apparently saying that it's not actually that big a deal. He'd still have been in good spirits even if nature hadn't been his teacher, his guide, because, and this is the first we've heard of it, there's someone else there with him. It turns out he's with his sister. In her wild eyes, he sees something of what he used to be. Remember how he talked about his younger self in the previous section? Now he sees his sister as being like his younger self. I behold in thee what I was once. His prayer is that nature will be her teacher, teaching her to rise above all the dreary intercourse of daily life. And he supposes that, like him, she will grow to love nature in a more reflective way, that her wild ecstasies shall be matured into a sober pleasure. He goes on to say that even if he no more can hear his sister's voice, that is, presumably, if he's dead, even then he trusts that she will remember how they stood together on the banks of this delightful stream. He also wants her to remember that coming back to this beautiful place, the River Wye, after such a long time, he loves its steep woods and lofty cliffs all the more, both because of what they are, what they mean to him, and because she is there with him. Now, I'm going to give the thumbs down to this section. It has some good lines in it. I especially like "Nature never did betray the heart that loved her," but it doesn't, in my view, add anything very much to what Wordsworth has already said. And indeed, by bringing his sister into the picture and emphasising how much she means to him, he actually undermines, to a certain extent, his panegyric to nature. I know his sister meant a lot to him. He married her best friend, Mary Hutchinson, in 1802, and the three of them lived together in the same house. And later on, when her physical and mental health began to fail her, he cared for her tenderly until his own death. At least, that's the standard narrative. It's worth noting, though, that Frances Wilson, in her biography, paints a different picture of a Dorothy who came into her own and enjoyed a new lease of life after her brother died. But Wordsworth isn't remembered today for how much he loved his sister. We remember him for what he wrote, and primarily for what he wrote about nature. He was a consummate observer of nature, often picking out the hidden details, the beauty that a less attentive person might have missed, and he expresses the mystical power of nature, its ability to heal our minds and awaken our compassion. What he says about his sister here is interesting, especially in the context of his life and his relationship with her, but to my mind at least, it isn't inspirational in the way that the descriptions of nature and its effect on his life are.